Hello and welcome again to this edition of Phi TV. I'm your host, Brad Swanson. We are coming to you from across the street of the Florida Capitol during the 2022 Florida legislative session. We are once again joined by Senator Gibson. Senator, thanks for coming on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
All right, so you always work on very cool, complex stuff. What's one of your top issues you're working on this year?
I have many, but the top two are my energy equity task force that I'd love to be able to create. And so, as you know, we are moving more and more towards energy efficiency, and in some communities get left behind in many things that we do, that we forget that things cost.
Sure.
And so, as we recognize efficiency and savings across the state, the Equity Task Force looks at how are underserved and poor communities being able to stay caught up as we move forward, like energy efficient appliances and those weatherization and things like that.
Right. Like this is basically up-armoring, if you will, their homes to be more energy efficient.
Yes.
Energy efficient.
Yes. Okay. And so why some of us can recognize savings, those who are left behind cannot.
Right.
And energy cost is probably, after the mortgage or rent, the next highest cost for families across the state.
So you had mentioned off camera before we started talking about this issue that there's a solar component as well. It's to make sure solar panels are located equally across the community versus...
Well, and as they come more and more on board, we had an issue last year, I believe it was, where there was an African-American community, not necessarily rural, where solars were being placed almost like next door. So we want to talk about what's the appropriate place for any equipment that comes into communities.
And the task force is going to look at all these issues.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, you're always working on some fun stuff that makes it better for all Floridians and brings good perspective. Okay, so what else are you working on?
Another issue, of course, and we've kind of talked about this before a little bit. This is a little different. Quality health care in our nursing homes. So the bill really, it touches on many components, but one, the priority is that we want to make sure that funds that are going into our nursing homes are spent on the patients or the residents at a minimum of 75%.
How much you're spending on the residents, 75% versus administrative costs.
Yes.
So it's going direct. Yes. It's almost like we talk about with students, right? It's got to go to the student.
Absolutely. Okay. And the use of staffing agencies to deliver health care, particularly if they are owned by the same company that owns the nursing home.
Well, anytime you get into healthcare issues, it's always a lot of text. So I know you're boiling it down for our viewers. Do you promise to come back on in the middle of the session and tell us how these two bills are doing?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, we'd love that. We'd love that. All right, before we go, you've been a lifetime supporter of the Florida Black Caucus Gala.
Oh, yes.
Tell us what that does, and it's coming up in a few weeks. So.
Yes. So our scholarship gala and our luncheon. Certainly we give scholarships to students across the state with a focus on minority students. And so that will be fun again this year. It'll actually be, I'm not sure when this is airing, but next weekend.
Okay. All right, I love it. I love it. We'll pretend like it's forever green.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter when the actual thing's going on. Everybody should always sign up to support it.
That's correct. And come and have fun.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll be there on the red carpet doing interviews with all the great leaders that support that scholarship gala, and it's a great event every year.
Thank you very much.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. Thanks for coming on Phi TV.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. That's all the time we have for this episode of Phi TV. For more great interviews like this one, make sure you hit us up on our social media feeds. And for now, thanks for tuning in.